right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. And today on the show, we are doing another live episode. It's our live recording that just took place last week over at Art House Theaters in downtown Las Vegas. And joining me in the conversation are Gina Mizzoni, Michael Keene, and Tom Devlin to talk about The Exorcist Believer, the new reboot, sequel, requel thing of The Exorcist from David Gordon Green, who just recently rebooted Halloween and did a whole trilogy. Will we get a trilogy of these Exorcist movies? They say we are. We'll see if that happens. But we got a great conversation coming up. Lots of great puzzle pieces to get into. We had a lot of fun audience interaction on this one. It was a great time. Before we get to it, I do want to remind you to make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together wherever you listen to podcasts. And, of course, if you are enjoying the show, you can drop us a little 5-star rating and review, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, wherever that happens to be. I do appreciate it. You can also follow us on social media at Piecing Pod. Join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we continue the conversation about all the movies we talk about here on the show. And don't forget about the Produced by David Rosen Patreon, where I post bonus and advanced content from Piecing It Together, Awesome Movie Year, and from my music career. Lots of great stuff over there right now, and as I record more things, they'll go there first, so check it out, patreon.com/bydavidrosen. So with all that said, let's get into our conversation about The Exorcist Believer. All right, so I'm David Rosen. I'm the host of the Piecing It Together podcast. We're a podcast that takes a look at a new movie and tries to figure out what movies might have inspired it. We're, of course, about to talk about the movie we just watched, The Exorcist Believer. But before we get to it, first of all, I want to thank the Art House for having us out today. And I want to introduce my guests. First up, just to my right here, we've got my wife, Gina Mizzoni, who is a photographer. She has a photography business. She's also a board member of the Nevada Women's Film Festival, and she's been on the show a few times. This is her first time on a live show, though. Gina, welcome.
And I'm here to troll Dave's podcast tonight.
Probably going to have it. Between her and my mom, this probably won't go too well. Next up, we've got Tom Devlin, filmmaker, makeup effects artist, owner of Tom Devlin's Monster Museum. Also, you have a film, Teddy Told Me To, coming out soon, right?
Teddy Told Me To will release streaming-wise on Tuesday, October 10th.
That's awesome. Fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I'm so happy to have you here on the show. So thank you for being here. Michael Keene over there on the end. He is a filmmaker, a YouTuber. He has been on this show a bunch of times. He's, I think, the most of anyone on one of these live shows. Is that right? That feels right?
It just keeps on happening.
I know. Wait till we do Thanksgiving next month.
That one I'm actually, invite me.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We might do that. But Michael Keene, awesome. Always happy to have him here on the show.
Awesome.
It does look really good.
It does look really fun. I haven't talked about doing it yet, but I did do a Twitter poll today, and everybody wants me to, so we'll see.
Really?
Maybe we'll do it.
You did this.
Yeah, so why not? Why not? So I want to, before we get into the whole puzzle piece thing, which is the main thing of this show, I do want to ask you guys a question first, because this is something I was thinking about through this whole movie. I was kind of thinking about it before the movie, but definitely during the movie. Would this have been a better movie if it wasn't an Exorcist sequel? I feel like it really would have been. Gina, what do you think?
I think maybe, yeah. I think the cheesiness of Ellen Burstyn's character, that was just kind of silly.
Yeah, I think so. Her getting to do her own little exorcism at the end was
I love her, but
absolutely, she's great. And I'm we all saw that article where she talked about how she got a funding for these students to be in this movie, and that's awesome. And she probably had fun, but I don't know. What do you think, Tom?
I think that it would have worked as an asylum version of the exorcisms.
Yeah, sure.
Exorcist,
Yeah.
I have a friend who he just released. It's called Exorcists, and it has Doug Bradley.
Of course.
As I assume I haven't seen it yet.
Power of Pinhead Composer.
Yeah, but I watched the trailer and I was like, man, for a movie shot in I think it was 6 days.
See, that's what that's how I feel about this.
Right.
It could have been.
Yeah, but that movie looks good enough.
Yeah.
For what it's one of those it looks like it's shot well and lit well. which I assume that this was not shot in 6 days.
Yeah,
Does
probably
not have
not.
that distinction going on for it.
But I do think that they use that Instagram vignetting.
Oh my God, there's so much vignette.
There's a lot of vignetting.
Yeah,
in this.
but I think that they took it like it was like a cheap one because you could see through it, kind of. You know?
It was completely unnecessary to have to do like an Exorcist branded movie because like my favorite exorcism movie is actually The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually like one of my favorite scary movies too.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you can make an exorcism
Yeah.
movie. You don't need to spend $400 million to do this, which is, I believe, what they spent to get the rights so they could do a trilogy of these.
Yeah, not the best investment.
I don't know. I don't know.
I was. I think the thing that really drove me crazy watching this, and it kind of ties into the whole like the feeling that's like almost an asylum version, is that it's a really like I think it's a really strong idea at the core. Like the way that they present religion is actually really smart, and it's kind of a diversion from what you'd expect. But then you have this kind of, fine looking like TV movie kind of looking thing, and The Exorcist is one of the best shot horror movies
Yes,
of all time.
absolutely.
And it's gritty.
And and we'll talk about other movies, but like, it's a series that's defined by, even when the movies aren't that good, they mostly look pretty good.
Sure.
Like Exorcist 3 is a fucking masterpiece.
Hmm.
And then you get this movie and it's like, yeah, it's an exorcism movie.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. We should get into some puzzle pieces. And for people who are here in the audience who have not listened to Piecing It Together yet, I always like to throw a puzzle piece out there just to get this thing going and just to explain to you guys how it works. And so, like I said, it's a movie that we think might have inspired this. And I think the obvious thing here is this director, David Gordon Green, just did a trilogy of Halloween movies, which were in themselves a sequel that throws out all of the other sequels and just continues the story of the first one, brings back the classic character. If I remember correctly, Laurie Strode had written a book in that.
She does at the end of the third.
Okay, so she's gonna write a book.
They skipped that whole process.
Yeah,
for this one.
sure.
We've seen that before.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. But yeah, also, as we get into like the second one, Halloween Kills, it starts becoming about the community, so they kind of squeeze that in here as well. So I mean, it seems like he's dealing with a lot of the same ideas here. It's just he wanted to do it in yet another classic horror franchise.
Is he creating DGG tropes?
It feels like it in a way. It does. And he's not known for horror. He has a great like filmography, a lot of interesting stuff. But apparently he wants his like name in horror to be redoing all these classics.
Or did he just do very good financially with the first three, so they came to him and were like, "You've got it.
Yeah,
can
you
do
have
it."
to do this now.
Yeah.
You have no choice.
Jason Blum was like,
Yeah.
you spent very little money on those Halloween movies that made me a lot of money. Will you do this movie and make a lot of money, but don't spend too much money, but make a lot of money for me, please?
Yeah. Well, we'll see how this weekend goes. So that's our first puzzle piece. Gina, what do you have for your first puzzle piece?
So I'm gonna focus on the ending of the movie where they have to choose which kid is gonna live and which one's gonna die, and that one I'm pulling 1993's The Good Son.
The Good
Oh,
Son.
yeah.
Nice.
Where they have it's Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood, and that movie, that's like one of the best movies ever too.
That is a fun movie, and Macaulay Culkin, doing something. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's so there's that whole, that thing right now about like Marvel actors, like there's no stars happening anymore. It's like interesting to think, would these actresses get a chance to grow as actors, or is this kind of going to be like their thing? I don't
think they have much of a future, I hate to say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to say. What do you guys think about The Good Son over there?
I love The Good Son.
Yeah.
I love The
Classic.
Good Son. I mean, that movie, not quite a horror movie, but it scared the bejesuses out of me because I was the kid that would have played with Macaulay Culkin. And then as he's doing those horrendous things, like I had a hard time saying no. I might have done them too.
You were the Elijah Wood.
I may have become like helping with Mr. Highway, getting real excited about throwing something off a bridge.
Nice, yeah.
I love The Good Son. And as far as these actresses having a future, I feel like the little girls did really good.
Okay.
I think that they could grow up to be like badass actors.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I hope so. I would hope so.
And then people will be like, remember when they were in that crummy exorcism movie?
Yeah.
And it'll be like, which one? And
There you go. Yeah. No,
but
that's
I think
probably-
they could end up, especially, I think they're great.
Right on. Well, Tom, let's go to your first piece. What do you got?
I'm an effects artist first, and I love horror movies, but every bit of the original Exorcist had such incredible makeup effects by Dick Smith, and at the time he wasn't known super for horror. He had done like The Godfather and Little Big Man and stuff like that, and then he did The Exorcist and blew everybody's minds with Reagan. The makeup effects or horror elements of this movie just look like the Evil Dead remake to me. The whole thing, like I could have cut
Yeah.
this movie out, put it in the Evil Dead remake, and you wouldn't know that we skipped movies. The way the cuts were, the tonality of their skin and the lighting and all the weird stuff happening on the ceiling, it really was like Evil Dead.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, and like I'm famous for bringing up Evil Dead way too much on this podcast, so I'm glad someone else did. But I was thinking about it a lot. I mean, I know Reagan was always kind of like loud and like a little kind of crazy, but like
But
they
it was
definitely felt
different.
Deadite-like, right?
Right. Yeah. Reagan was different. She was possessed,
Yeah.
and you felt the duality inside of her.
Yeah.
This, I couldn't tell who was coming through. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it was like a Deadite, but it was like, specifically the remake to me, it looked like they're like, make him look like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Michael, are you a fan of the Evil Dead remake? I don't even know. Like,
Oh,
I
I
know we
love
just
Evil
did
Dead
that
remake.
Evil Dead Rise
I
episode.
think on that episode I talked about how much I love. I mean, I think there's no bad Evil Dead movie. I think it's all quality stuff, and some better than others. But
Including Rises?
yeah, I thought it was. I mean, it's probably my lowest spot of the bunch, but still fun. Worth a watch.
I think that's fair. Like, I didn't hate Evil Dead Rise, but I definitely thought it was a step down from all of the others, including the 2013 remake, whatever the other remake is. Like, this one was definitely like quality wise, it was the least, and it did remind me a lot of like kind of the way that this looked effects wise. So yeah, I think you're right there. Michael, let's go to a piece from you.
So I'm gonna go with a super obvious one, but for a very good reason. Exorcist 2: The Heretic.
Okay.
So I had actually, even though I love The Exorcist, I had put off watching Part 2 forever because all I ever heard was this is the worst goddamn Exorcist movie.
But that's the first, that
And-
should make you want to watch it.
Well, but I mean, it looked boring. Is basically what like, even though it was John Borman, I was like, oh, but it's gonna be like boring John Borman, and it is kind of boring. It is not that exciting of a movie. It is a movie that is 20 minutes too long easily.
Dated. It's
It
dated.
is very dated, but at the same time, it has a very smart idea. Which, if you haven't seen Exorcist II: The Heretic, it basically takes the
Spoilers.
teachings and concepts of the Jesuit priest who inspired Father Merrin in the first movie and makes them like the whole plot, where it's like, oh, there's this connection between the mind and spirituality, and it's actually a science, and it's really, really just a fun idea, and it, it works all right. It's fine. And in this movie, they took it feels like they are simultaneously trying not to do an Exorcist 2, where they're trying to not go too far off the beaten path while still developing their own ideas. But the thing that Exorcist 2 has, and I brought this up earlier, is it looks really cool. It's a fucking rad look. Some of those like that fucking those
John Borman. I mean, come on.
Yeah, John Borman fucking rules.
Yeah.
And the movie's batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And does it always work? No. But it fucking aims for its high. It has this huge goal it's aiming for. It doesn't quite get there, but it shows off a bit on the way. And this one, it feels like, yeah, Halloween did good. And it's frustrating because, Blumhouse is cheap, but you're not too cheap to have good composition. You're not too cheap to have wide shots. You can have a fucking wide shot. You don't have to,
Do you think part of it is where cinematography's turned digital now, as opposed to the celluloid?
There
it was
is
shot on?
part of that, because that's why you have these muddy night scenes, which this does have. I'm glad that not a whole lot took place in the woods, because I was immediately like, fuck this noise.
Digital noise, right? That's what you mean.
But what they'll do is they'll shoot pretty bright-ish for a night scene, but it's kind of evenly lit. And then they'll bring that lighting down because since it's evenly lit, you're not going to worry about a bunch of shadows and shit. You just bring it all down in post.
Then put the
Easy
big
peasy.
net on.
Yeah. And what it used to be was, well, you're shooting on film. That's why there's so much just giant blue lights in old movies, is because they need to light for the darkness. And how the fuck are you going to do that? You know, you create essentially one big ass hair light. And you say, that's the moon, I guess. And we, the audience, are like, sure, fuck it, why not?
Yeah. Looks cool.
And now it's, well, we'll figure it out, I guess. And it looks muddy and shitty. And it's not visually interesting, which is kind of the movie's big problem. Like, you have really mostly solid performances. Leslie Odom Jr. is great. The two girls are great. The other fucking people are fine. And it has, again, this core idea that works, I think, really well and is a smart way to kind of start this theoretical trilogy that's not going to happen. But it all looks like dog dick.
Mm.
And it's so frustrating because you could take this movie, give it not even a new DP, but a DP who is allowed to take his time and actually make something of it, and hand it then to an editor who doesn't do the exact same fucking trick every goddamn beat of the film, and you have a pretty good movie. And as it stands, it is a thoroughly whelming movie, which is kind of what I was expecting from Exorcist II: The Heretic, which is actually pretty good. And this is just,
Yeah, to that puzzle piece. I've actually never seen Exorcist II: The Heretic. I really want to because I have a feeling I'll like the craziness of it. But I did almost bring up Repossessed as a puzzle piece. So that's basically an Exorcist II. So Linda Blair came back, so why not, right? So I'll go to another puzzle piece. I don't know. I don't want to keep complaining about this movie, but I feel like most of my stuff is going to be kind of on that kind of direction here. A movie that a lot of people love and I don't really like, and that is Dr. Sleep from Mike Flanagan.
Oh, I love that.
oh, you piece of shit.
I
I
know,
like
I
you
know.
fucking piece of
I'm
shit.
the asshole who doesn't like
Maybe
Dr.
you should
Sleep.
just hang up your podcast.
I know. If I don't like
You're gonna
anything.
suck cocks in hell for that one.
I shouldn't have listened to him when he said it was a bad movie.
I know. Monday we'll watch it and you'll see. But I feel like it's just a
You know what? I
thankless thing,
avoided
though.
that movie for a year because I was like, I don't need to see a sequel to The Shining.
Right.
30. I didn't need it. And then I was going to bed one night and it was on. And I put it on. I was like, I'll fall asleep in 5 seconds. And I watched that whole movie like, wow, this is pretty fucking good.
Well,
This is really fun.
and the thing is,
It's, I would say maybe more fun than The Shining. The Shining's not a
Really?
fun movie. The
Right.
Shining is
Yeah.
a dark movie, but
the-
it's not a fun movie.
the reason it's more fun is because it's basically an X-Men movie. Like it's just a
it's
superhero
great.
movie.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's
So
ridiculous.
there's not a man in the movie losing his mind, and
It's different.
It's a
Yeah.
different.
You're
the thing
gonna
that's-
enjoy it. Don't
Okay.
listen to him.
It's like Exorcist 2 again.
No.
It is one of those films.
He's not wrong.
It's one of those films that it has the legacy elements. Like in that case, Linda Blair came back.
Except
Ellen
it
Bernstein
looks
would
great.
have come back.
Doctor Sleep looks good.
It does look good.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing is,
I'll give it that. It did look
like
yeah.
it's this amazing like diversion where it's like we can't do a fucking Shining sequel that's just The Shining again. It's
That's
gonna
the reason
suck.
I bring it up because it's an impossible task.
I had
There's
imagined
no way.
they were gonna fill it with CGI and crap, like kind of like this, but they didn't. It was if they did, it was so tasteful that I didn't complain about it. Like I love Doctor.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
David's wrong. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
I
all
was
right.
pleasantly surprised though that Dave actually liked the original Exorcist movie.
Oh,
Oh, I love
That's
that
one
movie.
of my like all-time favorite movies.
it's
And-
great. I mean,
Yeah.
There's like nothing bad I can.
And we just
say
watched
about
it a few days ago, and Dave had never seen it.
Yeah, somehow I had never actually like
Watched
sat
The
through the
Exorcist?
whole
Yeah,
Exorcist.
You
never-
missed in 2000 when it was
Yeah,
re-released.
that's
Yeah.
when I. That's,
My
yeah,
God,
right.
that
I
was
think
great.
I saw it in 2000
Yeah.
when it was re-released, but like it was. It
I
was
made
brand
him-
new to
I
me.
made him watch
Yeah.
the 2000 director.
Yeah, with the
was it-
spider walk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Like all of it. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so
Amazing.
good. So good.
Well, let's not talk about Dr. Sleep anymore. Let's go to Gina's next puzzle
All right.
piece.
But wait, you didn't really explain why that was your.
Well, no, it's the thankless job of trying to bring back a classic movie that's like impossible to make a sequel. Now, of course, with Dr. Sleep, there is a text. There's a book that it's based off a Stephen King book, but you know, it's still it's a messy idea to even try to
It's
do.
hard to please anybody
You
with.
can't.
Yeah.
You absolutely can't. And so I think the fact that that movie even has fans, obviously 2-1 here. Gina hasn't seen it yet, but
3-1.
well,
It'll
Gina
be
will
3-1,
probably
don't
love it, and then I'll be just out the door. But I think that shows that like even if it seems like an impossible task, maybe we could do it. And
Yeah.
so they tried. So, Gina, what do you got next?
So this one is kind of an obvious one. If you saw the film earlier this year, it was another Blumhouse film. It's called There's Something Wrong with the Children.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's about this child-free couple that goes on like a little trip, a weekend trip to a cabin with their 2 friends that have kids, and then the kids disappear into the forest, and they come back
3 days later.
few days later.
Was it 3?
I think
might
it
have
was
been.
like a couple days.
I just made that.
Yeah.
And they're like possessed with something. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That I was definitely thinking about that one as well. We watched that earlier this year, and yeah, I mean for a
I
movie,
didn't love it.
Yeah, I was a little mixed on it as well, just like with this one. But I do think that the setup is like absolutely right for creepy shit, creepy kids that you just don't know what the hell is wrong with them. Like you could see why they would go in this direction. It certainly was a good setup. I actually liked the first like 30 minutes of the movie ish.
Yeah.
I thought it started off good, and then it just as soon as the first flash of a scary thing happened, I was like, we're in trouble.
I really liked the dad's performance. Of
Yeah,
this movie.
he
I thought
was really
he was
good.
great.
He
And-
would make a great young Ghostbuster.
Yes.
Ernie Hudson.
Yes.
Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, hell yeah. I
He'd
could
be
see
a
that.
great prequel for
Hollywood, you know
Ghostbusters.
what to do with Leslie Odom Jr.
Put him in
Actually, no, you
Ghostbuster
don't,
prequel.
because he's in this. You don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Have you guys seen that movie? There's Something Wrong with the Children?
I've seen the trailer.
Oh, okay.
I haven't.
You haven't?
It
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me, though, that Blumhouse will go with that premise, though, because, of course, what's something that's really creepy, but I don't have to spend any money on it? Oh, if they just go fucking missing. I did it.
We don't even have to shoot them. We just shoot the woods.
We're team A24. Even our dog has an A24 leash.
Yeah, Harvey
wanna
does
know,
have an A24 leash.
I would let Jason Blum do so many things to me. Like, I find Jason Blum very inspiring, and I think he's a fascinating individual. But a lot of these movies are starting to suck rancid ass. Of course, although I love Halloween Ends, so
I do too.
Yeah, it's
like it.
it's a tough. They're not all going to hit. There's that one about the closet. I can't remember what it was called now, but
I'm not sure.
it was based around whatever the game where you go into the closet with the person.
Oh yeah, like 7 seconds. in
Yeah,
heaven.
7 seconds. I think it was actually called It's something like that. So, 7
Yeah.
seconds in.
I'm not a
7
huge
seconds in heaven.
not a
Minutes in
huge
Heaven.
Blumhouse fan because they're all the same. I
Right.
feel like they're
Yeah.
all
Right.
the same, and I mean, even the fact that 2 kids go missing, they come back possessed. It's the same movie. So this should have just been part 2 to that.
There you go. That would have been a cheaper sequel to do. So, what do you got for your next one, Tom?
My next piece is it's a modern classic. I especially the end hit it home for me is the requel of Baywatch.
Ooh, nice.
You know,
all right.
Because we're watching this movie 50 years later. In that case, it was like 20 years later on Baywatch. And the whole time you're like, when am I going to see CJ? When am I going to see CJ? And
Yeah.
then they're like, oh, Reagan's dead. She's in hell. And you're like, no, the devil's tricky. We're going to see Reagan.
Yeah.
And then at the very last shot, we see Reagan. Just like in the very last shot, we saw Pam Anderson.
There you go.
So it was, and it really got me there. I was like, yes! And Ellen Bornstein was much like Mitch Buchanan showing up the whole, I think there's definitely a parallel.
Sometimes puzzle pieces are really good like that one. I like that one. That was great.
I actually jumped to my seat and said it. I was like,
did?
yes, Baywatch.
Yeah.
'Cause, I do love Baywatch.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that movie in a long time, that Baywatch movie. That's amazing. Michael, you a fan of the Baywatch movie?
No. I hated that.
It's so good.
No, I couldn't deal with the CGI.
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty okay with it, but it got really draining for me really fast.
I love
It felt
it.
like 21 Jump Street, but shitty.
No.
No, there's bathing suits.
There's
And
bathing
yellow
There are
Jeeps.
The thing
bathing
is,
suits.
I
Yellow
can just-
Jeeps and jet skis? Come
You know
on.
how much fucking television I have that I can comb through for them sweet titties and little swimsuits?
You know what? I love Baywatch. I learned recently that I think I've learned everything about filmmaking from Baywatch. Because every movie I have unnecessary slow motion. I have musical montage that goes on for a little bit too long.
Nice.
And in the end there's always a romantic triangle, but in the end, it always all works out to the best.
That's a podcast right
I
there.
am-
Everything I know about filmmaking, I learned from Baywatch.
I
like it.
really did. I've been on the live TV on Roku watching a lot of Baywatch lately. And
Having seen both
You've
your film
seen it.
and your direction. Yeah, Baywatch. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not lying. And
Start watching Baywatch.
it's there's a great, a lot of people don't know that Sherwood Schwartz made Gilligan's Island, but his son Doug Schwartz made Baywatch with the same formula, basically. Scantily clad people on a beach for no reason, solving mysteries and stuff. It was, I think it's great. Father-son activity.
Right
love
on.
that guy with his little skimpy outfit and his little white hat.
Yeah.
Still on
Oh,
the beach.
boy.
The movie stuff.
Oh, Gilligan.
Marianne.
Oh, Gilligan.
Okay.
Michael, what's your next puzzle piece over there?
Fuck, I don't know, man. This is one of those movies where not the entire time, I was paying attention to the story and all that bullshit, but I kept thinking, what does this remind me of? And I don't really have
Blumhouse.
anything.
It reminds you of Blumhouse.
Yeah, it reminds me of Blumhouse. So I'm going to, this is a bit of a joking one.
Yeah.
Name a Tony Scott movie. Name any one.
Top Gun?
Domino. We'll go with Domino.
Okay, sure.
Top,
All right.
Top Gun.
So Tony Scott did this much
You
more.
think this
Well,
movie
hold on.
reminds
I'm
you
getting
of
there.
a Tony
I'm getting there.
Scott?
I'm getting there.
It's got
I'm
to
getting
be a
there.
good
Give
explanation.
me a second. So you know how you watch a Tony Scott movie, especially a latter day Tony Scott movie, and it is edited to fuck all. Like you have no idea what's happening half the time.
Yeah, that's
It's like sound designed up the ass.
These
and
demons are very fast.
It's boom 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 boom. This is not that, but it feels to me like a direct evolution of that like late '90s, early aughts style.
That this works in movie theater style.
Yeah, and we're just gonna the entire time we're just gonna be going and going and going and going, and every edit has to hit with some piece of the sound design. If we can get like a really loud fucking sound in there, ooh, if we can take a person screaming and combine it with like the sound of a vehicle,
A truck
or
coming,
some truck
yeah.
or train or whatever, oh baby, that is some tasty business.
But I don't think they did that well enough in this.
No, they did it terribly. It was horrible. It makes me think, oh, the editor thought that was a good idea. Let's try that here. And then he's just really pleased with himself when it works out once. And when he's just every 5 minutes, actually not even 5, every 2 minutes, just edit. We're like, there's scenes that could go on and be legitimately creepy, but he needs to like pop over to like a semi truck going across the street or some bullshit. Like when she's antagonizing the nurse lady.
Yeah.
And the blood's coming out of her vagina, and she's doing the thing. That could have gone on, like not she didn't need like a pool of blood, but
The blood was too digital and way too fast.
it was very fast. But let that scene breathe a little bit.
yeah.
There's no breathing in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it takes 5 fucking hours to get through.
I was thankful it was an hour and a half, but it could have
True.
been 2 hours to really kind of tell a story. Like, instead of everything just kind of wrapping up.
It just goes, and you don't get any like other than Leslie Odom Jr. There's no real character development.
No.
Like there's kind of some with the dad from the white dad.
Yeah, I mean, I felt
But-
like the Christian couple. They were like, "Ooh, let's make these guys look like hillbillies," and a little. You know what? Let's forget about that. Just let them be parents now.
Yeah.
At first they were kind of like a little bit trashy, and he was a little mean, and she was a little bit podunky, and then by the end it was just like, no, they're just parents.
I mean, as someone who grew up in the South, that is all of them.
Yeah.
That's everybody. That's actually one thing I hate about the Debbie Gordon Green horror films, even the Halloween stuff, is how much of it I either recognize or is like part of
from
my
Georgia,
childhood.
or
Yeah.
well, you're from
Because
North
like
Carolina.
the first Halloween takes place in doesn't take place. It was shot in Charleston, where I grew up, and I lived like a block from where Myers does his like that like one shot, a little killing spree, where he kills the chick in
yeah.
the window. And
good
it was
scene.
fucking. And like my friend Michael Smallwood is in the first 2 movies. He's the guy dressed as a doctor, which great for him. I mean, amazing for him. But the whole time I'm like, this is fucking weird, guys. I'm uncomfortable.
Why is Haddonfield in my house?
Yeah, it's like this is not Illinois.
Yeah, it's my
What are we
street.
doing? And why is Chris McNeil living on a Georgia beach?
she
Everything
no,
with her is
she's
amazing.
Like, where is that place? Oh man, I forgot it.
That's a Georgia beach.
Yeah.
That is not anywhere else. That is South Carolina or Georgia, one of those.
Might have been. Yeah,
No,
every
it's
scene with
South
Ellen
Carolina.
Burstyn
Actually, yeah,
rules.
it was probably South Carolina because they all fucking live there. Danny McBride, David Gordon Green, all their little group. They all live on fucking Isle of Palms because they're rich.
Yeah.
And they just love. They're like, oh, we
They
don't want
worked
to travel
hard.
for work.
They make
They
the
worked
best
hard
TV
for that.
shows of the last 10
Danny
years.
McBride is the
And
best
they,
ever.
all these guys, they make the best TV shows of the last 10 years, and then they make this stuff.
They make
So-
some
exactly.
pretty crummy horror movies.
Yeah, I
The
don't know.
same guy behind, the same guys
Yeah.
behind fucking vice principals,
Oh,
behind fucking
amazing.
gemstones.
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's the same people, the same creative
Why?
team. I don't know. It's so strange. It's insane. And
You can
that's-
tell 'cause
you
it
haven't
was
seen
shot
the
in South
Halloween
Carolina.
movies, but they're just like this. But I just want to say, by the way, this podcast, we're not usually shitting on these movies so much, but it just so happens
It was
that,
a tough movie.
It was a
Like
a
I
rough
wish
one.
I can usually like everything. Like I'm pretty I like movies, you know, and I can
Yeah.
usually find something that I'm like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And in this one, I don't know, because the whole time I was waiting for what am I gonna say that I love in this?
Right.
And
right.
then really the only part that I loved was seeing Linda Blair at the end, because I thought she would never do anything Exorcist related again. When
yeah.
you meet her in person, she hands a piece of paper that everything that not the Exorcist she's been involved with. So I don't know how they roped her in. I mean, obviously
Money.
a lot of money,
A lot.
but it's just one of those things, because now she just jump started the conversation again for the next 20 years,
Sure.
which
Yeah.
she doesn't want to have. So she really cares about those dogs.
Yeah.
Really does.
Yeah. Gina, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say I thought the pacing was good though. Like the movie didn't drag on.
Yeah, it was nice.
But
and-
it could have
and-
dragged a little more.
I
think it could have
I-
dragged
I-
a little more.
I would disagree, because to me the pacing, it does two things at the same time that you should not be able to do at the same time. It takes, again, 10 fucking years to get through the entire movie. But also all the scenes are really short and just cut off at random points. But also it takes it's almost a staggering work of anti-art in that regard. And I want to note, I actually thought there was a lot of positives here.
Like I said, I liked the beginning. I really liked the beginning.
I was very whelmed. When Chris McNeil gets in there, that whole second act, just garbage. Doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to have it there. It's literally like you excise that from the plot. It makes no difference. And you can tell that they wrote the script like, okay, we probably can't get her, but we have a lot of money that we can just beep, beep, beep up to her house. Let's give it a try. And so they wrote her in. They wrote in that little coda. Like, maybe if we can get Ellen Bernstein, we can get fucking Linda Blair. Come on.
Why do you think they couldn't have got Ellen Bernstein?
Because she didn't want to fucking... That's why in Heretic, they originally wrote her character in because Reagan needed a guardian to be at the psychiatric place with Nurse Ratched, whatever, Louise Fletcher. But she said, fuck no. And so they rewrote it to be Sharon, the like nanny or whatever from the first film, which I thought was fucking hilarious at the time, because Sharon specifically states that she's not going to be hanging out with this family anymore at the end of Exorcist. And then Heretic,
Poor Sharon.
she's the guardian for Reagan now.
Was Richard Burton in that as well?
Yes, Richard Burton, drunk off his fucking ass.
I just don't know what Ellen would be doing to say no to this movie.
Living her life. She's
On
old
the
as
beach
shit.
in South Carolina.
That's her house. They
They-
filmed in her house,
they had to go to
probably.
her house.
Yeah.
I was disappointed that they butchered Tubular Bells.
Oh,
Well,
God,
that was weird. Like, you have
Like,
the song, just play
They
it.
had the song in the trailer.
It's a weird
they
thing
had
because
the
they
full-
own
they
that
had
song.
Yeah, they had the original. I think it sounded like the
It
original
needed
Tubular
that
Bells.
to come in hardcore, like for real, when
But-
things work.
In the movie, it's not. It's
Yeah.
just like a. It's like
No,
a
it was like
remix.
a MIDI version.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was unnecessary.
Yeah,
they should
that-
just do the thing.
that drove me nuts. Like the first like half of the movie, I was like, "Where the
And
fuck
I
is
love-
Tubular
But
Bells?"
that's
I
why I
love
thought
that
it was like
song.
an
It's the
asylum
best.
That's what
movie.
was.
That song is why I love The Exorcist.
Yeah, it's the best song.
It's a great fucking song.
I was promoting. Can I talk?
Yeah, sure.
I was telling my friends back home, my family back home, listen, they play the same music in the soundtrack, which is the Lord to get you here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and,
And it worked.
And Ellen Bernstein's here. Like, if it wasn't called The Exorcist, the Believer, I don't think we would be here.
And that's why they spent $400 million.
Yeah.
And I think they may get it back because us tomorrow and the next will come just to see that it's terrible.
I don't know that as many people will come out because, well, first of all, theaters don't do what they used to do, obviously. And to spend that kind of money on an Exorcist movie, I mean, I guess it's October, so it's a fun time to go, but I don't know. I feel like the teens that are going to go to the theater, they don't care about this movie.
Oh, yeah. Also, when's the last time an Exorcist movie made money? The Exorcist?
Maybe.
Back in 2000. When
Yeah,
it
the
came
re-release
out.
of The
Yeah.
Exorcist.
Yeah, re-release of The Exorcist was great.
It's interesting about 20 years ago, because the early one, back in the 70s, it was the most terrifying thing to see.
Yeah.
And then when I went to see it at Lincoln Center 20 years ago, kids, teenagers,
Oh, yeah.
hysterical laughing. Oh, when she did the crab walk backwards.
Yeah.
To be fair, there's a good reason they cut that from the.
Correct.
Oh, I
but
thought that was
kids
awesome.
were
It's a good bit, but
at
it's
the
too
movie.
early.
And I thought, damn, you have no idea.
It's a tough thing to do nowadays.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
just think people don't they don't see what's scary about it
Well,
necessarily.
the other thing about like what makes The Exorcist work, and the reason that this doesn't quite work, and a lot of the other Exorcist movies don't fucking work,
Is William Friedkin was crazy.
well,
Yeah,
William
no,
Friedkin
there
was
you
fucking
go.
crazy.
Yeah.
But also, it's like because I just rewatched it again for the first time in several years, and what blew me away was the best part of the movie is everything leading up to the exorcism.
Yeah.
It is
Yes.
this beautiful story about Father Karras and his struggle. Like he's the exorcist.
Wait, so
Father Maron's just
this
a
priest
fucking-
didn't have a struggle, you're saying? Is that what it is?
Oh my god!
In his car he did for like
They
10
also
minutes.
they play their hand so much in this movie because the second he comes back in, I'm like, he doesn't deserve this. He ain't gonna make it out.
I'm so glad they killed him off.
Yeah, that was the best part of the movie.
And I love
thought,
the way
so,
they did it.
Yeah.
I was trying to make one of my pieces. When they went in, they're like, "We're here together. We're gonna go do this." It was a lot like it. Like there was 7 of them.
Oh, that's a good
They
one.
were-
Yeah,
I was
that's a good
lucky
point.
7. I was like, they're going in. They're gonna do it. And then he came in. I was like, you're 8. You just fucked it all up.
Well, I did have one last piece.
And I do too.
Okay, Problem Child 2, because first time the
Oh,
kid
yeah.
was a terror, and this time there's 2 crazy
You're-
kids. So
yeah, that's good.
Problem Child 2.
Hey,
What
that's
do you
one
have,
of my
Gina?
favorite movies.
It is.
And
We
you,
just watched
You had
it.
never watched it.
No, I had
made
seen
you
the
I
watch
love when
original.
they put
She
that
made me watch the
dynamite in
second
the
one.
toilet.
Yeah. Oh,
I
so
love,
good.
I love the little girl in that movie. I wish I was bad like that when I was a kid.
You probably were.
Sucks that I wasn't. So my last puzzle piece is the 2012 film starring Naomi Watts and Ewan McGregor. It's a movie about a tsunami in Thailand, and it's called The Impossible.
Oh, yeah.
And that opening scene that with where they're in the
In
in the
Haiti.
earthquake
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Haiti
Yeah.
reminded me of that, like all the chaos.
No, you're totally
who
right.
goes
And like I said,
vacationing
that
in
was
Haiti?
that was like my
Especially when
favorite.
you're
I
that
loved
pregnant.
that was a beautiful scene.
That's what drove me nuts. Is like she is super fucking pregnant.
Yeah, I was like,
Why
what are they
you-
doing in Haiti
yeah,
right
I don't
now?
understand what they were.
Like, who goes
was he
vacationing?
like a
Weird choices.
photojournalist or something?
And
at
they were.
some
He was
point?
on. I think he was
like
just.
National Geographic.
That's
or
the
something?
character problem here. Because again, Father Karras has this amazing arc. Even Father Maron, who's barely in the fucking movie, has a pretty strong arc. And in this one, it's like, what does Leslie Odom Jr. do exactly? Like, we know that he winds up just taking shitty family photos.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
where
they
he's at.
really
he
needed
went
to
from,
show
like-
like
What was he?
magazine
Yeah.
covers or
He
something.
went from like a photojournalist, like
I
traveling
think he was.
photographer.
I thought he was a hobbyist. I thought they were on their honeymoon.
Yeah,
Oh,
it seemed like he
really?
was a hobbyist.
And,
But like,
and
I
was,
don't know.
I was just like, why are you guys in Haiti right now?
No,
That
because
doesn't-
they showed
She's
him as like
pregnant.
a family photographer, so it seemed like if they were showing that he kind of like maybe he might have given up on his dreams.
yeah, that's
or
what I took from
something,
it. But again,
like-
they don't give us any like idea of where that
No.
starts. It's just,
Yeah.
and now he has this shitty job, I guess. Maybe does he actually dislike it? I don't know. We're not gonna. Let's cut. Let's go. To
I
another scene.
think his character though had the most character development.
Sure.
definitely.
Yeah, 100%, definitely.
Yeah, I think there's a lot you could chew on if you wanted to.
with that.
But I don't think
only,
you'd want
but-
to with this movie.
Probably not. So I want to open up the floor for some puzzle pieces, and we do have T-shirts to give as prizes. Usually I'll take anything, but I just want to put a little stipulation. If you're going to bring up an exorcism movie, let's get a good sentence or two as to why, because obviously every exorcism movie, there's a line you can draw from The Exorcist to those to this. So does anybody have any puzzle pieces they want to bring up over here? We got one right over there. Nikki, what do you got?
Carrie,
Okay.
when Catherine is acting in the church,
Mm-hmm.
creepily,
Yes.
all wet.
Oh, we're getting you on the mic.
Thank you. Reminiscent of prom scene
Yes,
in Carrie.
absolutely.
Sissy Spacek, yeah. The original, yeah. I never see sequels, so I don't. It's all.
Michael, you might as well stay over there because
That's
I'm
a
sure
really
my
good
mom's
one.
gonna have something. But
All
fir-
right,
but
let's get
but
over
first,
here.
Be it all.
first,
But I wanna
Carrie
do
was
some
great.
kind of horror sequel. I'll go with. I was telling Nikki, I love The Omen. I could watch all of The Omens every single day. Absolutely love it. What really pissed me off about the whole movie.
Oh boy, here we
but-
go.
Okay, was
I thought it was really scary.
oh, not at all scary. Ellen Burstyn was wearing the clothes of Elliot Stabler's mother, and that threw me off. And it fucking threw me off. That's it. That's it. Done. Same outfit that she wears in Law and Order. You know, it's not.
So I guess Law and Order is the puzzle piece overall from my
All
mom.
right.
So
Law
thank
and
you.
Order and Carrie.
There you go. Those are.
No, it's not Christmas, the other one. Oh, and one other.
This will come back over
One
here.
other thing. James, what's her name, was in. Is the star of Halloween?
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right?
Jamie Lee
Yeah.
Curtis.
Okay, not bragging, but I'll put it out there. I'm friends with Kelly Curtis.
Oh.
Her
Okay?
sister.
And she is so nice.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna
Definitely from Brooklyn.
I'm gonna walk away from this now.
Does anybody else have any puzzle pieces they want to bring up? We got one right over here.
Oh, shitting cock. Wait a second. I'm gonna be.
You
I'm
need to
dedicated
upgrade
to
to
this
a
bit.
wireless.
Kelly, and
Um,
I have a lovely picture.
As far as puzzle pieces go, I was waiting for this moment to come in the movie, and lo and behold, it did. Beyond the Door. Because after The Exorcist did it, it was almost like set in stone. You have to have a head-turning scene
Yeah.
in every possession movie there is, and that's what they did.
I was trying to figure out how to make that one of my puzzle pieces, and that's. I didn't even think about the head turning thing. God damn, you're so fucking good at this.
I really loved the head turning scene here. Like that. Like I'm trying to like think of nice things to say about the movie.
Completely
I
around.
didn't.
Yeah, that
I didn't
was-
like the head turning scene
Really,
because
I liked it just because he was
killed
such
him.
he's such an idiot. The guy. That's why I liked it. You know.
But it killed him where Linda's head spun around and
Well, she was
kept going.
possessed, you
Yeah,
know.
it's different.
So,
Yeah,
he
I don't
was
know.
he was just some schmuck, you know. That
He did
like-
deserve it.
Yeah, he deserved it.
But-
that's why I liked it because he deserved.
I don't know why those veins popped out for like no reason right away before the head turn. It was like, look, evil's inside. I don't know.
That's always.
I wasn't really. I didn't like the horror elements of this movie.
It's no
those are-
forcing a hand to turn a gun on itself and breaking the wrist and blowing out someone's brains, right, Tom?
Well, what is?
What is?
What is?
Any other pieces we got from the audience? We got one way up there. The
Okay, I'm
mic
not
cord's
going
not
up
gonna.
there.
So just yell to us.
I got a weird one. When they were finally exercising the girls, and they're all in the circle there, and they're doing that circle shot. I felt like I was watching a superhero team up movie. The way that they were doing their different chants and stuff, and they're all coming together. I thought I was like watching the Avengers or something.
To
Captain
that
Planet,
point,
a little
to
bit
that
like
point.
Captain Planet.
No, it was more like that '70s show when they're
70s show. Hell yeah.
table in the
The Ouija
basement.
board.
Hell yeah.
So we got Avengers and that 70s.
I
This is
love
getting
it.
Good.
I love it. To that point, though, did I hear it right? I didn't want to take my phone out and write it down. Did somebody say, "Oh, I get it. We're a bunch of different people," or something like that
Yes.
when they were getting together? What-
Basically.
That's
that was
what-
the weirdest line. It's like it was like almost like someone off
diversity.
camera said
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it was like
it's
a diverse group of townsfolk that got together. It's like, oh, I get it.
It's
Like,
another one of those
cornucopia.
things. That's another one of those things that's a really good idea because you have a less Christian society.
uh-huh.
So what do? Oh, we make it more about just people coming together and the fact that their faith is what's powerful, not necessarily the individual
The
religion.
strength in numbers.
Yeah,
kind
which
of
is
thing.
a good idea. I mean, I don't think it works inherently just because part of the Exorcist's appeal is that it's kind of like Catholic fantasy,
Yeah.
which is fun because Catholicism is like a bullshit fantasy book.
Pope's Exorcist on my shirt right here. He's basically an Exorcist superhero.
Yeah,
So
we
you
need
know,
a fat guy on a Vespa.
he's awesome.
Um,
He's the best.
but yeah,
Yeah. To that thing though, like I was thinking of "Don't Be a Menace" in South Central. I'll drink your message, you know, like for that part. So,
I
yeah.
only got one problem with this movie.
Okay.
It's
Only one.
Only one.
well,
Wow.
horror movies are supposed to be scary, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing in this movie scared me.
It's really hard to be scary anymore.
You're supposed to be scary,
closest thing
Tom.
to being scary was when the snake came out from under the rock.
Yeah.
But it was digital. It was a cartoon
No,
snake.
but
It can't bite
that
you.
didn't even do it for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if it was a digital
waiting
snake.
to
It was
be
so fucking
scared,
dark.
and it just didn't happen.
And also,
Yeah,
it would've
I
been
jump
too
a lot
cool
at
for that
horror
snake
movies,
to
and I
even
didn't
move
really
that
jump at
fast.
anything in
No,
this.
thing,
You know.
I kept
That must
going,
have been a Satan
What's
snake.
gonna scare me? What's gonna scare me?
And before you knew it, it was almost over.
It was over.
No, I find
It is-
I think it's really hard to make a scary movie. And I know you were just saying how scary the original Exorcist was. And everybody's always said it's the scariest movie on the planet. I own the Monster Museum. People walk through, they see the Exorcist and they're like, oh my God, I'm terrified. I can't even walk past it. I need to blah, blah, blah. I've never thought The Exorcist was scary because
Yeah.
I'm a later generation that's not Catholic, but I've always thought it was super cool.
Right,
Like,
me too.
I
yeah.
don't think movies, it's hard to make a movie actually scary now. Everything's so,
Make one
But-
about Trump.
but
Speaking of that, though,
what it is it's cool. You know, when you hit that it's cool. Like Evil Dead's not scary.
Right.
Evil Dead's fucking cool
It's
though.
the best.
And I think this wasn't super cool. It had elements that I was like, oh man, you know, this could be really cool. And when it started in Haiti, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like Serpent in the Rainbow. And then it wasn't
Nice.
at all like Serpent in the Rainbow.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, because the voodoo, Haitian voodoo possession stuff
Yes.
is fucking
Yes.
cool.
It
That
is
is-
awesome.
I thought they were going to use
Something like that.
What the Black Exorcist? I don't know what her. I don't remember anyone's names.
Yeah.
But the black woman,
Yeah.
not
the
really an
doctor.
exorcist, but the.
No, but she could have come and
Hey, she's
spit.
a doctor.
Or,
yeah,
or
she's
the
a
doctor. Yeah.
she
yeah,
was
yeah.
the only one that like
But
hadn't.
I thought she was going to do something a little bit
Cool.
more.
Yeah,
and
something
she did
cool.
like some
She looked
shitty
possessed.
CGI smoke thing, and
Like,
that was it.
She could have
She
totally
looked
like
possessed.
gutted a pig and spit on her
Yeah.
foot, and like, you'd be like, "Oh my God, it's working."
Yeah.
I think
They didn't want to go there.
It's neither scary nor fun.
it wasn't cool. Yeah, it didn't have cool factor.
You can with a horror movie, you need to either be scary or you need to be fun, or maybe just have vibes.
Yeah.
You can have vibes, be scary, be fun. None of that exists in this.
It was
movie.
just really lazy.
It was.
It was
Yeah.
lazy writing.
Safe. It was.
It had a lot of.
It was safe.
safe.
It was lazy. A
Yeah.
little of both of those two
Yeah.
things, I
Did
think.
you, Gina, did you like or dislike the fact that they threw in some of the old lines from The Exorcist when they were in the bed? To me, that's,
Yeah, it was
you're trying to
cheesy.
get back to it, but you're trying to be on your own.
I liked when she carved
That's what I thought was
Reagan.
kinda cheesy.
thought
I
that
like
It
that.
was.
That's
I
apparently
agree.
that
They
demon
never saw it.
Pazuzu's like
Nobody ever saw it.
catchphrase,
Help
right?
me,
Yeah.
you know,
No, I mean,
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Mother, help me.
the dad. I
They
liked
could
that
have done
did
a
it.
more creative
I wish it
throwback.
was-
I
I
didn't
hate
feel like
it.
the occult, like
Yeah.
the original Exorcist was, or the original Omen. It was truly like 666, the occult,
Yes.
the whole religious Catholicism aspect of things.
But
It's
now
hard
you
to
gotta
get
be
back
safe
into that
because you
now.
don't want to offend anybody.
I
about
did
their-
like
Yeah.
the opening scene though with the dogs, just like in the original.
That was the one
Original.
callback
That
that
was
maybe
really
kind of
cool.
worked a little bit.
In
Yeah,
Iraq.
that was a cool
I
throwback.
think
Yeah.
they were with Lancaster. Remember when they were in Iraq? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do it in Heretic too.
There was
I don't
a
think they do it
little-
in 3.
There was a little spot where you. I thought it was going to be a Captain Howdy flash,
Oh.
but it was just the little girl walking past a mirror, and then he follows her up the stairs. But for the split second, I thought, oh, that was no, that
There was a flash of something.
There was.
Yeah, but it wasn't
Yeah.
as.
It
it
wasn't-
wasn't a Captain
was-
It
Howdy
wasn't
though.
Captain Howdy.
And I thought
Yeah.
that would have been cool because like Pazuzu's supposed to be in all of it, right?
Shit,
All right,
with
we're
the
gonna let my mom say one more thing, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up.
As a professional photographer, what is your opinion of Odom Jr. looking very closely at a family picture and focusing in on the little boy as if perhaps he's evil and he's going to be in the movie sometime or other, which he wasn't.
I think that was just because
was focused.
children are awful.
That was, yeah,
I
that
know,
was
Mom,
like,
I agree with you. I was thinking the
Yeah.
same
I
thing.
always hate when they bring something.
And they
in
never
and
come-
They didn't
Yeah.
follow up on that
He
callback.
was looking at that picture like
Twice it came to him. Yep.
yeah.
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 Okay.
Good point, Mom. Good point.
You're sharp, sharp.
I've just got one other question.
Okay, we got one more thing here.
Would you agree that one of the biggest basic problems with the movie overall
Blumhouse.
is that if you're a dyed-in-the-wool horror fan, and I am, I've been watching horror movies for the better part of 60 years now, wouldn't you say that audiences are much more intelligent much more savvy about horror, much more
Jaded. I think it's
sensitive to the tropes and whatnot. So it's going to make it a hell of a lot harder for production companies like Blumhouse to come up with really good things that'll scare the shit out of you.
I think you're absolutely right that audiences are more jaded, but I also think, going back to the lazy comment, that it's lazy to lean on the things that worked before and just be like, let's just, do callbacks, basically. Let's do Easter eggs. So
I think now the only choice they have is to do like a mulligan stew. Take something from column A, something from column B, mix the shit together, and see if you can come up with something maybe not original, but that feels more original. Like a very good example is *Malignant*.
Oh yeah,
I was ready for that.
That's actually a really good point.
I am the
You didn't know
biggest.
until the reveal. It's like, what the fuck are they doing?
the thing is,
And the best part about it is, it was completely wonderful William Castle schlock.
Yeah.
If William Castle was alive right now and see that, he'd be kicking his own ass going, damn it, I wish I'd thought of that idea.
Amazing.
the thing is, I feel the original Exorcist knocked it out of the park. They had the book from Blatty, and then William Friedkin. It was just one of those, magic moments that everything fell into the right place, and that movie hit at the right time, and it did amazing. But to try to recreate that with an Exorcist movie, I think is probably impossible. But it doesn't mean it can't be recreated with another type of. I do think that everybody's like, there's no original ideas anymore. You can't be original anymore. I don't buy that. I think that the right person, given the right circumstance, can make another movie, like when Quentin Tarantino dropped Pulp Fiction, and it was like, what? That was very familiar to a lot of people, but it was also new and fresh.
Yeah.
And there is something that Tobe Hooper did with Texas Chainsaw Massacre that was so simple, but it was so perfect at the right time.
Yeah.
And I think that those times still exist, but the studios that are in charge of this play it safe. And they're like, what worked before and what works every year and what does this, and make it look like everything else we do. And let's take from that storyline that movie didn't blow socks off people and it should have, so we'll put it here.
Yeah, I think safety is the biggest problem, and studios love safe. But
And we just need the independent filmmakers to rise up a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
absolutely. I just want to close it out. One last thing. What Michael said earlier about rewatching the original Exorcist is that movie works as a movie, other than just a horror movie,
Right.
just the scares. It's good character development, good story, everything going on with everybody in the first hour when there's not really many scares or anything like that. This is just looking at the scary parts and let's make a movie around that.
It's more unnerving than when the priest walks in and sees the titty and cock thing that they did on the statue in the church.
Yeah.
It's not really it's unnerving. It's not really scary, and it doesn't bomb bomb bomb. It just that's fucking crazy, and then it moves on, and it just gives you that sense of foreboding.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it's car horn, click,
Startling.
Yeah, that's true. That's what it is.
Let's
It's
wrap
not
it up.
genuine.
Let's wrap it up on Michael startling all of my listeners at home. Gina, you want to plug anything? What do you got going on?
Just please make sure to check out the Nevada Women's Film Festival next June. It'll be the 10th year.
Right on. Submissions just open, right?
Yes.
Right on. Tom, what do you want to plug?
So my first feature film, Teddy Told Me To, comes out next week on Tuesday, October 10th, and you can rent it on DirecTV, Amazon, and Google Play. It will play on every cable platform that you can imagine, Cox, Charter, whatever ones I don't know. And then in about 90 days, it'll hit the Tubies and those things. So
Awesome. Michael, what do you got going on?
So I know that submissions are open. If I shit out my lesbian vampire movie in time, does that fit? Because it's about women.
You don't have to be a woman. You don't have to be a female filmmaker. The film just has to be about women.
Okay.
Female
All right.
story.
Okay.
Female story.
Because I've got the best.
Maybe rethink that.
But my movie The Head is on Blu-ray courtesy of TerraVision. So go buy that. It has commentary tracks and behind the scenes, and It's a movie about a mannequin head that sucks cock and blood, and it's a beautiful story.
There was a movie.
It's a love story.
Oh, Mannequin's great. Mannequin 2 on the Move is also great.
Everybody, thank you so
Agreed.
much for being here. That is our show for tonight.
Hi, this is Wax Trax Records here on 2909 South Decatur. We buy all your old 45s, your old albums, any type of music memorabilia. Also, we sell music memorabilia, albums, CDs, and a lot. Come on down to Wax Trax, 2909 South Decatur, or give me a call at 702-362-4300. Thank you very much.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation about The Exorcist Believer. Again, thank you to Art House for having us down, and thank you to my guests, Tom Devlin, Michael Keene, and Gina Mizzoni for joining me, and to everyone who is out. I hope to see people out at these future events. I'll be announcing more soon. It's always so much fun to do them in person this way at the movie theater, and yeah, I hope that you'll make it out to some of the future ones if you're listening right now. And if you are listening right now, of course, make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together wherever you listen to podcasts, so you'll get all the new episodes as they come. We got a lot of episodes on the way and a lot more podcasts coming out soon. I got some special episodes I'm recording over the next week. A lot of fun stuff. So make sure you're subscribed. You could also follow us on social media at Piecing Pod and join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces. The day after we did this live show, I also just happened to release a new horror film score album called Blind Malice, and I am going to play a track from that to close out this episode right now. I always play a piece of my music to close out these episodes, and since that album just came out and is horror, it fits perfectly in here, so let's do that. I'm going to play the main theme from Blind Malice. Hope you enjoy this, and we will be back with more Piecing It Together real soon.
an All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.
I'm cold, I have to pee, I'm hungry, and I'm thirsty. Let's make this fast.
I am too.
All right, I think she got the picture.
You gotta sit beside all this.
It already flashed. That had to have been the picture. Mom!